Hey everyone, and welcome. In this crazy rush to adopt AI, there's a huge question that we really need to be asking ourselves. Are we actually innovating? Or are we just using these incredible new tools to do the same old work? Well, today, we're going to break down a practical framework called Real Light. It's designed to help you cut through all that noise and get some real strategic clarity. So let's dive right in. And this right here is the central question. With all the hype swirling around AI, it is so easy to get caught up in just adopting the tech without actually changing how we think. This whole explainer is about making that fundamental shift in mindset. So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with a really common trap called the AI dashboard problem. Then, we'll introduce the Real Light framework itself and walk through its 4 steps: reveal, envision, assess, and loop. And finally, we'll tie it all together to show you how this becomes your strategic advantage. All right, first up, the problem. And it's something a ton of businesses are falling into right now. They're grabbing all the latest AI tools, which is great, but they're applying them with logic that's, well, decades old. There's this story from a big tech expo in Singapore that just perfectly captures this disconnect between brand new technology and, frankly, old thinking. So picture this. At this expo, there was this really weird pattern. Booth after booth of accounting software companies, and they were all promoting the exact same thing, a beautiful, shiny, AI-powered dashboard. But here's the thing. They were all completely missing the point of AI. And this is where that disconnect gets crystal clear. On one side, you have dashboards. I mean, these were invented back in the 1970s for a static, at-a-glance view of data. On the other side, you have a modern GPT, which is completely interactive. You can ask it questions, you can tell it to find the root cause of something, you can even have it project future scenarios. So why would you use a dynamic conversational tool to build a static snapshot? It's a classic case of new tech being trapped by old, outdated thinking. So, how do we break out of that trap? How do we escape that old mindset? Let's move on to the solution, a framework called Real Light. And it's all about getting clarity and being able to move with speed in this completely new era. So what exactly is Real Light? Well, think of it as a streamlined, super practical model built specifically for individuals and smaller businesses. It's designed to help you make much smarter strategic decisions about AI and find a clear path forward, all without getting bogged down in a bunch of unnecessary complexity. And just to be super clear, this isn't some massive corporate transformation plan that takes years to implement. That's what its bigger sibling, Realize 7, is for. Real Light is the nimble, fast version. It's for those of us who don't have layers and layers of bureaucracy and just need to find direction and innovate, like right now. The framework is built on 4 really simple but incredibly powerful steps: reveal, envision, assess, and loop. This is basically your new mental map for navigating innovation. So let's start by breaking down those first 2. Reveal and envision. Okay, section 3, reveal and envision. This is where we really start to shift our perspective. First, we're going to look at how to find completely new sources of value, and then we'll explore how to build a strategy that works backward from the future. It's pretty cool. So the first step, reveal, is all about changing the question we ask. Instead of asking, what product am I building? We need to ask, what progress is my customer actually trying to achieve? Think of it like this. People don't want to buy a 1/4-inch drill bit. What they really want is a 1/4-inch hole. Focusing on this job to be done uncovers the real underlying need, and that opens up entirely new ways to create value. This slide just illustrates that mindset shift perfectly. Most companies, they're stuck in ROI, or return on investment. They're just trying to make the same thing a little cheaper, a little faster. Real Light pushes us toward ROG, return on growth. The question becomes something so much bigger. What entirely new value could we create that literally doesn't even exist today? Okay, so once we've revealed these new possibilities, we move to step 2, envision. Now, the key here is that this isn't about forecasting or trying to predict the future. It's about backcasting. You start by defining a very detailed, ideal future state. Then you work backward from that future to figure out every single thing that needs to happen to make it a reality. Now for the last 2 steps, which are all about action and adaptation. Let's move on to assess and loop. This is where we learn how to act intelligently and create a cycle of continuous, rapid learning. Step 3 is assess. Look, in a world where new AI tools are popping up every single week, the impulse is to jump on everything immediately. But this step teaches us that good judgment is way more valuable than just blind execution. It's about being strategic, not just reactive. Assessing really just means asking the tough questions before you leap. Is this new tool just a fad? Is a tech giant like Google or Microsoft going to build this and make it free in 6 months? Strategic patience, knowing when to wait versus when to invest, that can save you an absolute fortune in wasted time and resources. And finally, we have step 4, loop. Because let's be real, nobody gets it right on the first try, especially not in a field that's moving as fast as AI. This final step integrates a continuous learning cycle called the Satiare loop, and its whole job is to make sure you stay agile and can adapt as you learn. The loop itself is simple, but it is so powerful. It's the engine that drives this whole thing. First, you see. Observe what's really going on, without any of your own assumptions. Then understand. Why are people doing what they're doing? Next, you frame the actual problem you need to solve. And finally, you adjust by testing small ideas, learning from them, and iterating. This is what turns your strategy from a static document on a shelf into a living, breathing system. So, let's bring this all home. What's the ultimate advantage of using a framework like Real-Light? Well, it's not just about a process. It's about developing a completely new way of seeing the world. So here it is, the essence of the entire framework in a nutshell. You start by revealing new dimensions of value nobody else sees. Then you envision an ideal future and let that pull your strategy forward. You assess your options so your decisions are smart, not just fast. And finally, you loop continuously, so you're always learning and adapting. And that brings us to the most important takeaway of all. The real game changer in the age of AI isn't simply about building AI. It's about developing the clarity to see possibilities that everyone else is missing and to understand needs that they're ignoring. That is the ultimate strategic advantage.